So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about the dark side of success. And there is a dark side. Not everything is a rosy picture from what you might have seen in media and how success is branded and marketed to the public. There is always the flip side of that, because it is a double-edged sword. You don't get something and get to keep what you already have. A lot of the times you lose something and then you gain something, and it's a very you may get into a dilemma whether what you gained was even valuable or not, because it's never what it seems like. It's never what it looks like when you get there. And a lot of the people talk about this. Hollywood celebrities talk about it, entrepreneurs talk about it. So I'm going to be expanding a little bit more on this because I think it's important. And I have seen the full cycle where my family was in debts. My mother was making about $1,500 a month, and we were 3 people living in India, in a very small neighborhood. And from that, going to Dubai and negotiating multi-million-dollar deals and dealing with multi-billion-dollar company CEOs, dating runway models and some media news channel presenters, and several other beautiful women and the whole jazz, driving supercars. So it was a full circle of experience. If I was just born in that reality, I would not be in touch with actual reality. But because I came from very humble beginnings, and then these things happened, I kind of have a full context as to what that is. Because the way people react at this level is very different than the way people react to you and respond to you at this level. I remember I was sitting in Address Hotel in Dubai, and it's one of the most prominent hotels there. And I was on a date with this beautiful Romanian runway model, and it's literally the girl from my dreams is sitting there, and she was my girlfriend at the time. And I just looked at her, and I was wearing a nice suit. Everything around me was really beautiful. There were skyscrapers all around me. I was the founder and managing director of this company, which I'm still the founder of. And I was looking at this, and it felt very surreal and dreamlike, almost like it wasn't real. And at that point, I just questioned myself that would she date me if I was the same Prithvi 5-10 years ago? Would she still be in my life? And I didn't have an answer, because if I was that version of myself, I wouldn't be in Dubai. If I wasn't in Dubai, there is unlikely that I would even meet her, let alone date someone like that. So I just started to question everything. I just started to question the whole position that I was in, because I've started to feel like people who are associated with me in this reality are actually associated with the position or the status that I have accomplished. And status is a very shaky thing, it's always changing, and people around that also change. So I was like, holy shit, I'm dating this beautiful girl of my dreams, but it seems like I'm dating her and she's dating the status that I have. But then the flip side of that is maybe I'm dating her because of her looks, and she probably wonders the same thing. And then the whole thing started to look like it's superficial or fake, to be honest. And I was like, what is real and who am I? I didn't wear suits before, and I'm wearing these beautiful suits which I always wanted to wear, but I don't have the same friends anymore. My childhood friends, my homies, my brothers, they're not around me in this reality. And I have completely new people, very goal-based relationship, very, accomplishment-based relationship, which is fine. But I mean, it just feels like a little bit weird, to be honest. And it feels like, will all of this ever be taken away from me? And will I be able to handle that loss? And there were so many questions that started to come, and insecurities that started to come, and the pressure of that environment started to kick in, and I was almost not able to enjoy that environment, strangely. It was really exhilarating because I was living the dream, and I'm still living the dream, but it felt like I missed the old days. It's kind of like those modernistic movies where you are transported into 2050 and everything is like very new and glamorous. That's how Dubai is, by the way. It's very glamorous. But a part of me felt like, where are those old days? Like, where is that old shirt that I had, or that old room that I had, or the people that I had? And there's such a status shift that has happened in a very short period of time. After I attended Dan Penya's seminar, I started to execute without thinking, and I started to accumulate more and more power and influence in the region, and everything changed. I wasn't just Prithvi. I was Prithvi, who was the founder of this investment company, who had to be in a certain way, who had to sit in a certain way, and who had obligations, who was dealing with high profile individuals. And that was a different identity than Prithvi, who was from this small neighborhood, a good guy, having a bunch of friends and having a good time laughing. So you start to compare that and you feel a bit lost. You kind of wake up and you get scared. Like, a lot of the times I would wake up in the house and I would just look around and I would just freak out. Who are these people? What is all of this around me? Like, all of this, luxury and all of these things, like, what is this and who am I? It was a very weird experience. And a lot of the people may have this experience. Some of you might be thinking, is he going crazy or what? But a lot of the people go through this experience because internally you're still the old you, but externally everything looks different. And it's kind of like a vanilla sky moment where you feel like, am I dreaming or is this real? So that's one aspect of it, is the shift between the old identity and new identity. Everything that was associated with the old you, the older identity that you were so identified with, the friends, the habits, the food, the language, the choice of music, movies, all of that world, relatives, family, all of that, just disappears and breaks at the same time. And then you adopt this new identity and a new status and new position of power, which has completely different location, completely different people, completely different basis of relationship, and it's completely new. It's almost like you're living somebody else's life. It's like you're playing a character. It's very weird, but it does feel like you're playing another character, and all of this is like a cinema. And that's how success can feel, because if you were born in this old identity, then this feels more real to you, even though this also is just a character. But this feels more real than this. And you may have this little bit of a crisis as to, who am I? Am I getting lost? And you may want to go back to your friends, you may want to go back to your family, and you will feel this pull towards the old identity, old reality, your neighborhood. You'll start to think about, like weird things like windows, clothing. You may think about your mother, her clothing, the way she looks and everything, and all of that may, trigger nostalgia. You may think about your friends, what they're doing. You may feel guilty. You may feel like you betrayed them because you don't talk to them anymore. Recently, one of my friends called me. I was in Bali, and he said, I can take a flight and come to you, can I stay with you? And I was like, no, I'm busy. I'm sorry, I won't be able to accommodate this at this point. And I really had to be focused on work. But I really felt bad because this is a friend of mine who stuck with me when I was really, really young. And there was just such a difference. He could not speak proper English. And I mean, I had grown to another level, and he was still in the old reality. And there was just such a difference in status. And when we were speaking on the call, we could see the difference. And for whatever reason, I felt guilty or bad, but it just felt like I was not the same person. Like, it was almost like he was not even talking to the same guy because of the transformation. And another thing happened when I went back to my neighborhood also recently to visit my mother, and one of my best friends who I grew up with, I just saw him. He was sitting in a car smoking a joint with someone, and he was still in the old reality. And I was walking different. I had a different voice. Everything was different about me. And I saw him and he saw me. And there was this weird La La Land moment where, we're not going to be friends anymore. And it was a 15, 17-year friend of mine. And we did a lot of things together, but it felt like I was looking at a stranger. And so there is these little things that happen about success, that you're like, here the relationships are outcome based, and it's very competitive, and it's very new and modern. And here things were maybe based on love, affection. And here things are based on power and goals and accomplishments. Nothing wrong with that, but it's a completely different value system. And it can take a while for you to adjust to this. I remember Dan Pena in the Castle seminar, he showed us a movie called The Backward Bicycle, in which there is a bicycle that you ride, basically a backward bicycle, reverse pedaling, but it goes forward. And most people were not able to ride that bicycle because they were too used to riding it the normal way. And that was the one documentary that I could not relate to in the castle. But when I came outside and I started to execute the model, I could relate to that documentary more than anything, because this was a completely different framework of operating. My body felt different. My mind felt different. My communication felt different. Everything around me felt just weird. And it all felt just weird. And when I went back, I also, sensed some smirks, jealousy, resentment, a feeling that I had betrayed them, some of my friends, and I wasn't welcomed. You would think that I would go back and people would be happy about the success, but they were not. Even in the family, when I would share about, something new I've accomplished, they would say enough about you or enough out of you. Like, stop talking about this thing, we don't want to know about it. So there was this underlying undertone of resentment and jealousy, because I was reminding them of what they could have done, but they did not do. And I was making them feel small without trying to make them feel small. No matter what I said, they were getting triggered. And so there is all of these things, and sometimes when you have lived that reality, you can't really go back. So you don't have anywhere to go, basically. You've left home behind. You've sat on this train to success, and it's going really fast, and home is not to be found, and it's never going to be found. And there is a beautiful movie on this called Citizen Kane, where this guy accomplishes a lot, and at the end of it he dreams about his childhood, and it's Donald Trump's favorite movie. So the name of the movie is Citizen Kane, where the guy accomplishes the world and still he feels empty and he wants to go back to his childhood, when he was little and his parents were alive and life was simple, right? So there is this aspect of success that I wanted to share with you. Felix Dennis talks about it. He was the owner of Maxim magazine. He made about $500 to $700 million, and he talks about this a lot in his book, How to Get Rich. He has written a book called How to Get Rich. Audiobook is amazing. You should listen to it. He presents a very double-sided picture of success. Like, is it really success? But it's always double-sided. And you could decide whether you still want to do it or not. Because the path is full of loneliness. And home will not be there to be found. So that's the kind of essence that he provides with success and power. People may show you a fake face. A lot of the people, they are associated with your position. They may show you their fake face. You don't know who's loyal to you. Even the friends that you have may show a different side because now you have resources. They want to use those resources. So they are not really your friends anymore. They want something out of you. The whole thing gets disrupted. Your old reality is going to completely disrupt it. And that's why a lot of the people have the fear of success. The fear is not irrational. The fear is legitimate. Couple of movies that I would like to recommend that deal with that. There is a movie called Goal. It's based on football. There is part 1 and part 2. You should watch that. It deals with success and how this guy becomes a famous footballer and everything from his life. The old life just disrupts and he's into this new reality. He doesn't know how to handle and he's losing control. Another movie would be La La Land, where these two couple separate because of career reasons and they just grow apart. They just grew apart from each other. So that's kind of my take on the dark side of success, because there is a side which a lot of the people don't talk about. They just talk about how to get there, but they don't talk about the implications of getting there. And that's why a lot of the people subconsciously don't want to make the shift, because they are attached to this old identity and everything associated with it. There's this beautiful world of oldness, even if it's poverty, but there's this beautiful world that will just collapse. And there might be a new world with new rules that you may not know how to navigate through. And that could be a scary experience. That could be a reason behind procrastination. A lot of the people say, what do I do to deal with procrastination? And some people say, oh, you should do digital detox or no fap routine or all of that. But these could be the underlying reasons why you don't want to take action on your dreams, because to accomplish your dreams, you would have to become a totally different person. The moment maybe go to a different environment, even a totally different city. I would not have been in positions I am in right now, and I have been, if I didn't leave Delhi, which is where I was born. And so success may mean new environment, completely new people, new language, new laws, new rules, new culture. Everything is new, and all of that can create a significant amount of trauma and shock. And believe it or not, I went through this period of trauma and shock where I couldn't process everything that was happening, because it just was so outside of my reality. And so I wanted to share this with you, that you may want to look inside as to whether some of these things are, some of these fears may be there, and you don't want to let go of the old identity and adopt the new one, because it's just going to disrupt everything that you currently have, and you may or may not like the new one. And that's always a moral dilemma to ponder on. So with that, I'll talk to you soon. and peace. If you like the video, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and as I said, I'll talk to you soon.